Some of my favorite things to charge for are the techniques that look really high-end but only take a few clicks to accomplish. An example of that is clipping masks, where the result is very popular right now. You guys will, once we do this, you'll have seen it a lot, but it's super easy to do. So I'm going to walk you guys through what clipping masks are and how to achieve them, and then we'll talk kind of in theory how we can apply those in future projects. Let's check it out. On Canvas, I've given you guys two files, one called Beach and one called Flames. Go ahead and download those and open them up into Photoshop, and then create a brand new blank Web Large preset. Let's go ahead and get out our type tool. And for this exercise, I'm going to use Franklin Gothic Demi for my font. You guys can use any bold sans serif font you'd like Arial Bold or Helvetica Bold. And I'm going to just click into my artboard and I'm going to type the word beach in all caps. I'm going to double click my T icon on my text layer to highlight it. That way we can change the size. Let's come up to our option bar. Let's go to our big T, little t slider, and let's click and drag it to the right. Let's increase the size of the word beach and then center it in our artboard. Now this word is going to act as a cutout for our image that we're about to bring into our artboard. And this is the essence of clipping masks. The outline of the text here is going to kind of cut out this same shape in our image. It's much easier shown than described. Let's go up to our Beach Image tab and let's select all. Let's copy. And let's paste this into our new untitled artboard right above our word beach. It creates layer 1 right above the text beach. And notice how this image is much too large, which is a great problem to have because we can never scale up a raster image, but we can always scale it down. So let's go to Edit, Free Transform, or Control T or Command T on your keyboard. And let's scale this down big enough to fit over our word beach. That looks pretty good there. Hit Enter to apply. Now we have layer 1, which is the image of our beach, and we have underneath it our text, beach. It's now perfectly set up to achieve a clipping mask. Now the clipping mask is going to cut out the word beach in our image. It's important to note the layer order here. The layer that's acting as our cookie cutter, in this case the text beach, always needs to live below the image that's going to have the cutout cut out from it. So the beach image needs to be above our text. Now select your beach image in the layer panel and right click it. Notice the option that says Create Clipping Mask. Now get ready for a really cool effect with all of one click. Ready? Here we go. Ooh. Congratulations, you've now made your first album cover. It's a really popular effect right now. You guys all probably recognize this. Look over in our layer panel and notice what has happened to layer 1. We see now the thumbnail to the left of it, there's a little right-angled arrow pointing down to the word beach. This tells us that layer 1 has been clipped to the text. Now it's called a clipping mask for a reason. This is non-destructive, and this is the beautiful part about this. We can get out with our move tool, we can start to move the image behind the word. And you can see now how the mask is taking effect. It literally masked the image around the text outline. So we could reposition this. We could even enter Free Transform and rescale our beach image if we absolutely wanted to. Now, releasing a clipping mask is just as easy as it is to make one. If you right-click layer 1 again, there's an option that says Release Clipping Mask. And that simply just undoes what we did, and now the image lives separate from the text. So again, image above the text, right-click the image, create clipping mask. And because this is not destructive, we can even change our text. So if I double click my T icon and get out my character panel, I can change the font. I could change the size, as well as my tracking, and still achieve the same effect. So everything about this is non-destructive. Now I want to show you guys how we can double stack images in a clipping mask. I'm going to hit Control Z back to my original beach text. I'm going to double click my T icon on my beach text layer, and I'm going to type in all caps, fire, the ampersand, which is the and sign, water. Fire and water. All caps, no spaces. I'm going to double click my T icon and shrink this down to fit inside of my artboard. Now with your move tool, try to center your text. Now you might get frustrated because all it's doing is moving the image behind the mask, which technically makes sense. If we look at our layer panel, the image is the top layer, so our move tool should move it first. But what if we want to move our text? We could do one of two things. One, with our image selected, we could click the lock icon above the layer panel. That locks our image, allowing us now to move our text. To unlock it, we can just click on the little lock icon again. Or with our text layer selected, we could simply hit Control T or Command T and enter free transform for our text. Either of those ways allow us to move our text instead of our image. Now I'm going to move my water, my beach image, over the word water and halfway covering the and. I'm going to drag it down until all I see is the water. And that leaves fire and half of the ampersand blank. Well, let's go to our Flames tab that we've opened up earlier. Let's do the same thing. Let's select all, copy, and let's paste this into our working artboard. Using our move tool, let's drag the flames over the fire and the ampersand. In our layer panel, we now have layer 2, layer 1, which is our beach, and that is clipped to our text, which says fire and water. But we don't have to create a new text layer to clip our flames to. We can double stack. We can actually infinitely stack images to a same text layer. So let's right-click our flames layer and create a clipping mask. Well, there's that little arrow again, saying we have now double stacked the beach and the fire to our text, the same text layer. And we can move this around and reposition it. So if you guys wanted to, you could technically have each letter be a different image, just by double and triple and quadruple and infinitely stacking images on top of the clipping mask. Now let's clean this up a little bit, because we have the fire here overlapping the water in the and we could technically just kind of separate these and not really worry about it, but that's no fun. I want to split this. I want to talk about the gradient tool. The gradient tool is the parent tool of the paint bucket. Get out your gradient tool. And on your flames layer, layer 2 here, let's add a blank layer mask by clicking the blank layer mask button at the bottom of your layer panel. Now the gradient tool has different flavors, as we can see up here in the option bar. These different folders are the different types of gradients that we can have. I'll be using the black to white gradient under the basics folder. And let's use what's called a linear gradient, which is our first checkbox here. Our mode should be set to multiply and our opacity at 100%. Now, the gradient tool works in a click and drag fashion. So on our layer mask, on our flames image, I'm going to click and drag to the left. And notice now how it kind of feathers or gradients that image out, and we can see the water beneath it. I'm going to Control Z here to show you something. The smaller my drag, the less intense the gradient. Control Z. The longer the drag, the more intense the gradient. So for this, I'm just going to kind of start right here and drag to the left. And now I have kind of an ampersand that's half fire and half water, and it looks kind of cool. And notice on the mask on layer 2, we have a half and half gradient. And because we did this on a mask, it's non-destructive, and it allows us to see the water beneath it. Now, we're not just limited to text layers for clipping masks. I'm going to create a new web large artboard here. Now, let's say I've used my pen tool with shape, and I want to have no stroke and let's just say a black fill. Let's say I draw a random image. I have no idea what I'm drawing. Looks kind of like a weird car. Sure, weird car. And I got out my beach image all the same, and I copied it and I pasted it on top of my weird car that I just made. I'll enter free transform and scale this down. Hit enter to apply. Because this has pixel data on the shape, we can clip to this weird car shape. So my image goes above the weird car shape. I right click layer 1, I create a clipping mask, and there it goes. It clips the water to my weird car shape. So you can clip anything to anything, and that's what's great. The highest payoff is through text, but we can clip anything to anything. And this becomes a really neat way of having text and images and shapes kind of mesh together. Super easy, really high payoff. Practice these because you'd be amazed at how many people look at these and think, wow, that looks really cool. Can you do that for me? And you're like, yeah, you mean I'll charge you $50. Right click. It's a really good thing to have in your back pocket, in your tool belt, as different clients approach you with different needs, especially in logo design. We'll see this a lot. So have fun with clipping masks, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.